Pleasant good evening from Soccer County, where we bring you a key rivalry fixture in USL League One. A regional tussle between Westchester S.C. and New York Cosmos. And tonight's match is presented by Atlantic, tomorrow's office. We say hello and welcome from Mount Vernon, New York, alongside the former Guyana national team captain Chris Nurse. I'm Sam Goldfarb. Here's your look at the USL League One table. Westchester currently 11 points south of the playoff line. New York Cosmos in the cellar. Both of these teams needing points to kickstart a postseason push. And Westchester, Chris, in a rocky vein of form, but they did scrap for their first road points of the season at the weekend.
Yeah, both of these teams profess to be better than the results currently showing. I think we're starting to see an uptick in performances from both of them, to be fair, especially in the offensive standpoint. They find a way to make it click in the attacking third. I think where both teams, probably Cosmos, a little bit more so than Westchester, need to improve is going to be defensively and how they go about keeping more clean sheets.
It is a Westchester side that came from behind to take a 2-1 lead, but ultimately conceded in the final 10 minutes. Still, George Jokai saying it was a hard-fought result away from home. And tonight's player to watch had a large role in that result, Kyle Evans, with a pair of assists.
Yeah, when we spoke to the head coach this week, he called him an absolute monster. He plays his work ethic, his versatility, his vision, his scanning, his delivery. He even joked that he could play him anywhere. Things that you have to watch out for him. You have to watch for his late runs. You have to watch for that final key pass. And you have to watch his timing, his arrivals into space.
On the other end of things, it is a Cosmos side that has struggled at the back this year, but back-to-back league clean sheets for the first time all season.
Yeah, and you have to give credit to a goalkeeper. When you have a goalkeeper who's in the form that Marinelli's been in, clean sheets come naturally, and I think that's a key factor. Top teams will always have top goalkeepers, top defenders, and have the ability to keep clean sheets.
They focused a lot on tightening up their defensive structure. Davide Corti has been pleased with the performance the last couple weeks. And a big part of that success between the sticks has been their goalkeeper, Tristan Stefani, who started the last 2 matches in all comps and had a clean sheet at the weekend.
Yeah, Stefani, fearless, proactive, brave, organized, and commands his defense. This is a characteristic of goalkeepers that can be leaders, that can win championships. Although they may not be where they want to be right now, he has a lot of attributes of a top goalkeeper.
A big physical presence that has the upper hand on the #1 goalkeeping role for now. We are just about set for another edition of this regional rivalry. It is Westchester and the Cosmos in league play for the first time all season. Stick with us, lineups and kickoff when we return from Mount Vernon.
Imagine if your technology partner could not only anticipate your technology needs, but also provide a holistic strategy. At Atlantic, tomorrow's office, we take a 360-degree view of your office technology. Whether your organization is a local company or has multiple locations coast to coast. By understanding your organization's full scope, we can proactively manage your IT, document management, applications, data and AI strategy, along with your print infrastructure and communication systems. Our approach means a more efficient and streamlined operational plan for you, with the added benefit of predictable budgeting. We consolidate your technology needs under one roof, eliminating the hassle of dealing with multiple vendors. Our specialized service teams ensure that no matter the scale, you receive the highest level of support. Let's talk about how our holistic approach and expert teams can empower your business.
Raising health means elevating the care that we can get in our backyard. The Westchester Soccer Club is part of the United Soccer League that has now expanded into Westchester.
It's a brand new USL 1 team competing all across the country, bringing the love for the sport of soccer to the area.
Northwell is going to provide them the best care possible, going to the games, making sure that we're on site for each home game. If an injury pops up, we get those players in immediately.
The partnership between the Westchester Soccer Club and Northwell Health is very exciting.
Northwell's vision is to raise health. So we offer the full gamut of orthopedic services, serving the community in Westchester. That's where my family lives, that's where I live, and that's my purpose here.
Welcome back to Westchester County, where today's starting lineups are presented by RXR Realty, Westchester Soccer Club's first choice for housing solutions. And Chris, 2 changes for Westchester ahead of this fixture.
Yeah, ideally, you'd want to keep continuity in your team, especially when they're trying to build chemistry and rhythm and get on a string of good performances. But changes happen naturally. I think this game, as both coaches highlighted when we spoke to them a couple of days ago, it's going to be all about the midfield battle. So whether that's Armas and McGlynn, it's going to be interesting to see who wins that dominance in the center of the park.
And on the opposite end of things for the Cosmos, they're forced into a change at the last minute. Darren Seedorf out with illness. Frankie Lukovic replaces him.
Yeah, obviously it's a fantastic opportunity for Lukovic to come in and make his stamp on the game. You never want to lose a player so close to kick-off. Obviously, you've done all your pre-game preparation throughout the course of the week to get to this stage, but it's going to be interesting to see how they adapt. It's an opportunity for another player to step in and make themselves known and give the manager some selection issues.
Well, we are underway here in Westchester County. It is the second scheduled meeting of the year between Westchester and the New York Cosmos. This is a fierce rivalry fixture. Westchester looking to avenge their Prince Tires USL Cup defeat against the Cosmos in mid-May, a game in which they blew a 2-1 lead and fell with 2 goals in the final 10 minutes. Sam Goldfarb, Chris Nurse, taking you through this one tonight. And Chris, this should be a fun one. It will be hotly contested, and it should make for an entertaining fixture.
Yeah, we have 2 clubs moving in opposite statistical directions tonight. Westchester continues to believe the results haven't necessarily affected their performances, while Cosmos, on the other hand, arrive with 2 consecutive clean sheets and growing in confidence defensively. Both coaches told us this week that tonight's fixture won't be won by moments or brilliance alone. It's going to be by dominating the center of the park, as we spoke about.
Early on, Westchester chasing after it. This is Dean Guzin, who scored one of those 2 goals for the Golden Apple at the weekend against Omaha. And now Evans. Guzin again. Referee waves play on. Jimenez. Pings out of play for a Westchester throw. Well, it's now time for our injury report presented by Northwell Health. 3 players that George Jokai has ruled out today, including Charlie Dickerson. Meanwhile, Christian Kofi missing yet another fixture for the Cosmos on the flanks.
Yeah, as we spoke about in the week, actually both coaches independently came to the same conclusion that the midfield is going to decide everything. Coach Jokai spoke about compact distances for his team, having quicker passing, winning second balls, and being able to limit the midfielders for Cosmos' influence on the game. Meanwhile, on the other hand, Corti spoke about controlling possession, recognizing when to attack vertically, using Cedo as the key player to build through, and protecting themselves against Westchester's transitions.
It is a Westchester side that is fearsome on the break, especially at home. In fact, they're one of the few teams in league history to score 9 goals over a 2-match span. That came in mid-June. And here they are again. Guzin, it's touched along to the wide areas. And Bowie doing his defensive duties well enough. The referee unmoved by that challenge.
Key interception there at the right time, but it's fascinating that both coaches gave us exactly the same answer this week. Neither talked about the first goal, who's going to score first. They just both were adamant that the game was all about who's going to control the midfield.
It will be an interesting battle, especially to your point with Sidul now out due to illness. Frankie Lukovic forced into a big spot in his first league start of his young USL League One career, signed officially in early July. This long throw comes in and is flicked along, but claimed authoritatively by Stefani, who was upended by Bobby Pierre at the end of things.
It's just a quick reminder of the chaos that can be caused from long throws when you have somebody with the ability to launch it into the box with that velocity. While it may not be aesthetically pleasing, so to speak, they can be so effective here. You see the goalkeeper's taking an early knock. Nobody's been carded, and that kind of impact has an effect on you as the game goes on. It's just a striker, the players making themselves known, putting themselves out, putting their body on the line. It's making the game very uncomfortable from the get-go.
That was Mo Williams who clattered into Stefani. And to your point, long throw is a massive part of the game now, especially in USL League One. It's a way teams can almost manufacture a makeshift set piece in many ways.
George Jokai emphasized to us that he feels that his team are much stronger than the standings currently suggest. I'm not sure I agree with that. I think that as much as you want to play in a certain way, we are in the results business, and results at the end of the day is the only thing that really keeps you in a job. But they have 8 one-goal losses, which means they only lose by tight margins. They don't necessarily get blown out. And several matches statistically where he feels like they should have won, whether that statistic is shots on goal, whether that statistic is possession. The only statistic that really matters is the scoreline at the end of the game, and they haven't been on the winning end of that too many times this season. Sometimes performances eventually catch up results, and you hope that it doesn't get too far along in the season before we start to see that with Westchester. But he believes that tonight is another opportunity for that correction. It's going to be interesting to see up against a very, very strong Cosmos side.
There was a late challenge by Nestor Cabrera, and that yields a Westchester corner. First corner kick of the match brought to you by Ice Air, keeping Westchester cool and comfortable. Is a Westchester team far better at home than away. In fact, 8 consecutive road league defeats before their 2-2 draw at Omaha. Big part of the predicament they find themselves in at the moment. And it will be Guzin to play in this corner. He takes it short to Evans. Evans works it into the mix. Doesn't clear the first line of defense, though. Now Guzin flips forward. Bauman, clever back heel to Evans, across the base and driven home. It's a flying start for Westchester, and Bobby Pierre opens the scoring 7 minutes in.
Fantastic reactions from Pierre at the back post. Just as you thought the ball may have been getting away from him, he times his run perfectly, slides it and guides it into the back of the net. But it's fantastic reactions here. If you watch the back heel, intentional. It's a fantastic driven ball across goal. Whether he's shooting or crossing, either one, it doesn't really matter. The ball ends up in the back of the net, and Pierre is there at the right time, in the right space to finish it off and give the home team the lead.
Well, there is your look at the Silvio's Italian Restaurant instant replay. Who wants seconds? There's the instant replay presented by Silvio's Italian Restaurant in Yonkers. And Bobby Pierre opening the scoring 7 minutes into this critical rivalry fixture between Westchester and the Cosmos. A first league goal of the season for him, and he's in the right place at the right time.
Yeah, I think one thing Coach Jokai emphasized is that at home he expects high energy. The home energy matters. He said on the road games, maybe with all the travel and everything, being away from your circumstances, you're arriving with 70% energy. But he said at home he expects 9% energy minimum. He expects there to be concentration, aggression, reaction speed, which is exactly what Pierre demonstrated there at the far post. So being home, expected a higher early intensity, and I think we've seen that in opening 7 minutes of this game.
Definitely a flying start for this Golden Apple side. And to your point, they brought energy that he feels they maybe lacked away from home, as this free kick is taken short. And immediately a body in the mix, but there will be a corner on the way now for the Cosmos and a chance for an instant retort. Instead, they'll overrule it and say a long throw. And now some avenue on the byline. It's headed away by Bauman. And here's the first proper touch for Ashmir Spangler. Guenzati. It's a well-weighted ball, and then Zelonka maybe overcomplicated it. Perhaps he should have shot this, Chris.
Completely the wrong decision there from Zelonka. He finds himself inside the box with time and space, and he tries to make the extra pass rather than just finishing the play himself. Probably trying to be a little bit too clever here. As you can see, Pierre's on the floor, so he's completely free. His teammate isn't free. He should have had the shot himself, and he probably had the best moment to equalize the game here.
Well, it is another corner kick presented by Ice Air. It's the Cosmos' first of the night. It was nearly a rapid response. It's an in-swinger towards Marinelli's goal. Gets a glove in the mix. You have to like the response you've seen immediately following the goal, though, by the Cosmos.
Yeah, and for Westchester, Jokai spoke about he feels the biggest improvement from early in the season is that they've become more compact. Early in the season, they would stretch, there were too many gaps, and there was slow ball movement. The spaces that are there for New York Cosmos right now that they haven't taken advantage of don't necessarily display that. If we look at the chance that Zelonka just had, it wasn't compact, it wasn't tight, it wasn't necessarily good defending, it was probably poor decision-making in finishing from himself. So there's still some issues defensively to be addressed for Westchester because, as you mentioned, moments after taking the lead, this game should be level. It was just a poor decision from Zelonka why the game's not level.
Well, Chris, on the subject of keys to success, it's now time for our keys to the game presented by Health First. And here is your look at some of the key elements of victory for both sides.
Yeah, for Westchester, avoid cheap giveaways. Maybe the first 10 minutes is the moment to focus on that. For Cosmos, as we spoke about, I think their defensive record speaks for itself. It's not very good. They need to be more organized in their resting defense and avoid giving up goals in transition against Westchester tonight.
Jennings was just bundled over there, and the ref said it was won cleanly. It is a Westchester side known for their counter-attacking prowess, but occasionally they leave themselves exposed when they give it away. Nearly left themselves exposed moments ago after opening the scoring. Stefani will collect that.
Yeah, Jokai said that, he described it as they've improved their framework from early in the season. They have closer distances, better angles, faster 1- and 2-touch soccer that's allowed them to perform a little bit better. But as we spoke about, the performances haven't necessarily got the results that he believes they should have got. They're off to a fantastic start tonight.
The disparity between home and away form is quite glaring between these two sides. There's a Westchester side that's won all 4 of its league games at home. They have a winning record at home as well. Away from home, though, just 1 point from 9 league matches, and that's a big part of the reason they're 11 points south of the top 8 already. It's a fixture like this that could kickstart their season, though, as that ball's a little shy for Kyle Evans. Lukovic, first start for him in Cosmos colors. Joined the club officially after a few years in the lower leagues of Australian football. It's over the top to Bowie. Marinelli nearly mistimed coming off his line, but ultimately does collect the ball.
Yeah, for Cosmos, I think the clean sheets has been the change in identity for them. Early in the season, they dominate possession, but as we spoke about, their rest defense wasn't necessarily very effective. I think as the season's gone on, they become a little bit more patient, a little bit more organized, a little bit more compact, which is something both coaches say their teams have improved on over the course of the season. And even their coach admitted he's probably changed the way that they play a little bit. They don't press as high anymore because the profile of the centre-backs. Instead of pressing high and aggressively, they're defending a little bit smarter than they were in the early phases of the season, and that's allowed them to have more shutouts.
Davide Corti's also spoken about how the addition of some more mature presences has improved their back line. As it was a team that opened the year with a median age of 23, which is one of the youngest squads in the league easily. And so they've made a really concerted effort to bring in players with League One experience, and feels that's also part of the reason why the clean sheets have started to flow. But obviously tonight, another clean sheet will not be added to their ledger because Bobby Pierre has stunned them 7 minutes in this rivalry tussle.
Yeah, I always struggle to resonate when teams are too young, because at 23 you're just learning your trade, and that means you've excluded everybody who's 23 and above for the purpose of potential resale value, because players 23 and down genuinely tend to have a higher resale value, but they're not that experienced. They don't have the knowledge, they don't have the wisdom, they don't have the time in the game to essentially learn their trade. At 23 you're just learning your trade, so you need some players who are 28, 29, maybe early 30s for you to learn your trade from. If you're 23 just playing against or alongside 23-year-olds, there's no one to essentially teach you your trade. And I think that it's always a learning lesson lost when you're not on the pitch with players who have been there and done it and able to pass that experience on to you. So I think teams always need a balance of, yes, young players who are up and coming, but also older players, more senior players who are still in it to win it, still very capable and are capable of passing those experiences on to the younger generation.
It's a well-weighted ball in behind. Ultimately, Nestor Cabrera gets there, but a long-range hit that kisses off the post. There's a real opportunity for Westchester to double the lead there, Chris.
Yeah, it's a fantastic first touch at the edge of the box. It sets him up for the strike. And finesse, he didn't try to smash it as hard as he can. He tried to pick his spot, and could tell from the reaction of the goalkeeper, Stefani, that wasn't as far away as it may have seemed from where we're sitting.
Looks like Dean Guzin may have even kissed the woodwork.
But back to that Cosmos defensive line and how it's improved. They're defending quicker, so they're looking at more positioning rather than relying on speed in itself. So anticipation, awareness, and early positioning, because to his own admission, he said they're not the quickest backline. So to make up for the lack of athletic speed, they have to have good anticipation, they have to have good positioning, they have to have good awareness in order to be successful. And that means early movement, that means they need to step before the pass is made, and they need to be able to deny runs in behind.
Just briefly turned over. Mo Williams recovering, though, in his first start at Memorial Field. Sprays this wide now. There are numbers strolling forward. Here's Connor McGlynn, captain who paces this team in scoring. Guzin looking to slip Jimenez in behind, who darts it across. Jennings never hit it cleanly enough, though.
I think one trait that Corti also spoke about that is very consistent in good defenses, and you often see top coaches are reluctant to change their defense week in, week out, because it's about chemistry, it's about understanding, it's about collectiveness. And when you're consistently changing players, you lose the momentum and the ability to build that.
Guinzotti is looking for Zelanka, and that was broken up. It is a team that has settled on a consistent back line. Holt and Chavez, the partners in the heart of defense. Is cut back inside again towards Zelanka. And Evans is there to bash out of trouble.
He even went deeper to talk about where the clean sheets have come from and the improvement in defense. And he put it down to trust between the players, to know that one player's attacking, the other's covering. And if he's pressing, somebody else is protecting. And that trust and relationship and chemistry that they've been able to build between each other has been the balance that's transformed them.
Cabrera, Rutgers University product. Here's Holt, one of those center backs that has built a understanding with Jordan Chavez. Here's the other half of that center back partnership. More beats out. It's a low cross, and Pierre's there. Lukovic floats this forward. Jennings tracking back and doing so effectively. Cabrera. Sustained period of build-up here for Cosmos. Snatched control of this since conceding the opener. Spengler. Chavez.
And it's quite the contrary. When Cosmos do have possession, that's the moment they're most vulnerable. When that possession turns over, if Westchester can get that ball and transition quickly, that's when the Cosmos are most vulnerable. Get a glimpse of Jokai here.
His first season with Westchester, someone with plenty of experience in the youth development scene in Westchester, New York, was with FC Westchester, also coached at D3 Purchase College in Westchester County. But this is his first full-time professional job as a head coach. And he's been through his ups and downs, but he feels this team has high potential of turning the campaign around. He says, if we stay healthy, I'm confident that we can shock a lot of people. And I know you're saying that you feel the record is the record, but if they can string a couple results together, maybe this season could start to turn for the better.
Yeah, and he spoke a little bit about Bowman and Armis and highlighted them as kind of unsung heroes, or the players who do the quiet work, don't necessarily get in the headlines. And he said they protect from transitions, they're disciplined, they resist from chasing the ball, they protect and shield the defense. And he says if they're playing well, then that's when Westchester is probably more than likely going to be controlling the game. So far in this game, we've not really mentioned their names too often. Not much of the play has gone through the middle.
Yeah, Connor McGlynn, who's usually on it regularly, seems like this is one of the first times he's actually touching the ball. It's the metronome that dictates everything alongside Armas.
Are we allowed to call this a derby? You know, like North London derby,
I believe we are.
Merseyside derby.
The fans are calling it the GWB Derby, which stands for the George Washington Bridge, which is meant to reference the bridge that connects New York and New Jersey. Of course, Westchester in New York. The Cosmos are in New Jersey. They play in Patterson. As you get your look at the head coach of the Cosmos, Davide Corti, he's coached at a high level in the women's game, both with AC Milan and Sampdoria, but this is first foray into USL League One, and they've been dealt growing pains early on. He's mentioned how his players feel the pressure of carrying on the proud Cosmos legacy, but starting to see an uptick in results of late. They will have to play from behind here, though, if they are to get something from this fixture.
For sure. When you put on a New York Cosmos jersey, there is an expectation that you have to live up to. It's one of the most recognizable brands in US soccer, period. And that includes the MLS. So when you play for that club and you put on that jersey and you know the players that have come before you and the reputation, even in their when they reinvented themselves in the NASL not so long ago, they still became reputable with the likes of Marco Senna playing for them, with the likes of Raul Gonzalez playing for them. It's an organization where some of the best players globally, Pele, have represented and played. So you know that you carry that weight. There's an expectation of mannerism, there's an expectation of performance. There's so much that comes with being a New York Cosmos player that it's something to just be so proud of if you even get the opportunity to wear that jersey. And I think the players always have to remember that anytime they're representing the organization itself. It's one of the most profound names in the sport across the US.
This is the third rendition of the Cosmos as well. Of course, the first iteration is the side that had Pele, Franz Beckenbauer, some of the best players in world football. They were regarded as the most glamorous club in world football at one point. You yourself played against the second iteration of the Cosmos, if I'm not mistaken, and you said they were always a tough game whenever you were against them.
Beyond tough. Even Raul Gonzalez at the age he was, I think maybe he was in his mid-30s at that time, of Marco Senna. They were running the show. They were winning championships. You're running on them, you're getting nutmegged. It was absolute class. You're looking at some of the greatest players to have played in their positions in the world, played for this organization. So there's a lot to live up to. It's not just a regular team. Of course, every team, you should have the same pride, the same understanding when you're representing the fans and the organization. But the legacy and the history of the Cosmos, when you see those colors and you see that badge, is something special.
There's Evans picking it up. Of course, there is one carryover from the second iteration, and it is Sebastian Guenzati, who played early in his career in the NASL before the long spell in USL Championship where he made a name for himself.
Yeah, but that's part of continuing the legacy, is having players or people around the organization who have been there and understands what it means to be a Cosmos player. And obviously that was well thought out when they brought him back. They thought that he was a player that represented the values of the organization well, and that he could be the pillar to demonstrate what's expected to the next generation of players coming up.
Man on the far side upended. It gives us a chance to let you know that Westchester Soccer Club is excited to partner with Redefined Meals, our go-to destination for fresh, healthy, prepared meals. Scan the QR code on screen for a free meal at Redefined Meals in Hartsdale. Forward towards Jimenez, broken up by Massimo Morabito. Snatched back by Makic. One of many really versatile talents on this Westchester squad. We spoke about the versatility of Kyle Evans earlier, but Makic can play up front, can play as a 10, even out wide. It is that multi-positional attribute that George Jokai really values with his attackers. Here is Makic.
Okay, I did highlight Spangler as being the player on Cosmos to watch out for. He said that if he gets time and space, he can hurt you. You have to look out for his through balls, his ability to carry the ball forward, and his ability to make line-breaking passes.
There's another player who's made an impact in Williams. Looking to poke it through to Connor McGlynn. Just muscled off it by Cabrera.
Cabrera's versatility might be, one of his key strengths. Again, his head coach gave him praise for adapting from being a midfielder into a fullback position, giving the Cosmos better balance, more width, more stability. So he's not too flashy, which is incredibly resilient, consistent, and important to the group.
Product of Rutgers University, still very young as well. As you mentioned, versatile. He was a listed midfielder throughout the bulk of his college career, but converted into a fullback. Davide Corti says he likes his outside backs to be able to possess the ball and step into midfield, and it's a big part of the reason why he trained him up as an outside back.
One of the keys for Cosmos' success tonight was going to be keeping their clean sheets that come from keeping their shape. And of course, they conceded very early in this game in the opening 7 minutes. They find themselves a goal down, losing that clean sheet run that they're on. Wonder how that will impact their psychology. Of course, players pride themselves on it. It's the little wins that get you to the big wins at the end of it. And that was one thing that they felt confidence building. They lost that pretty early in this game.
They turned it over again here. Evans is fouled on the near side.
And besides that chance that we saw moments after them going down a goal, there's not really been much since for Marinelli really to have to do. The game's kind of not been in and around his 18-yard box to really threaten him.
Here's another look at that challenge, Chris.
A little bit late. I'm not gonna compare it to any World Cup challenges. I think there's enough controversy there of what's a yellow card, what's not a yellow card, VAR pullbacks. I think the referee got it right though. The contact was a little bit late, a little bit high. You can see the tempo of the game now has really slowed down a little bit to almost walking speed.
He didn't quite send him flying like Enzo Fernandez did. Here's McGlynn strolling forward for Westchester. It's a low cross to the back post. It does get there. Back into the mix for Makic now. Armas at the edge of the area, and the chance is lost. I get the sense maybe that should have been taken sooner. Still on, though, for Jennings. And eventually bashed out for a corner.
Jennings does well to stay on his feet here because there's enough contact. If he goes to ground, he genuinely gives the referee a decision to make in terms of making a penalty kick. It's interesting because this time the cross comes in for the left and it's delivered into the same space where Pierre was attacking at the back post. Good defender to block the cross, but the cross comes from the left, delivered into the same space that Pierre attacked in for the first goal at the back post. But on this occasion, there was nobody making that run on the right-hand side, and it just drifts right across the face of goal.
In-swinger in on the ensuing corner. And it's defended well enough by the Cosmos there. Well, you may notice Westchester wearing a different kit to their usual home kit. This is the commuter kit, their third kit, which pays homage, of course, to the New York subway with the different line colors on it. It's just the latest addition to Westchester's kit lore. As Armas launches this long throw in. Flick on fault for Jennings, but eventually dealt with. Perhaps something on for Spengler, who's in some space, and this is where Westchester does not want to be. Read well, though, by Jonathan Jimenez, the converted wing back.
Good recovery there from Jimenez. I would say that Cosmos might have undone some of the good work that they've done in the opening 30 minutes of this game. Their defending had improved in previous games, but start of this game, the defending wasn't great. They didn't stop the cross across the box, and they were not first to the runner when the ball was being finished at the far post, and they haven't been clinical in the chance that they had it. As we spoke about, no longer had a great chance to equalise moments after they conceded, and he wasn't able to take it. So defensively, they've not been as good as they have in previous weeks. And on the other end, in terms of finishing and being clinical, they've not been great in the opening 30 minutes in that aspect also. So maybe undoing some of that good work they've done previously tonight.
We'll see if they can change that here. Have numbers strolling forward. That effort nearly snuck in at the near post, but Marinelli was equal to it.
Pretty tame effort in the end. Off balance, going to ground, doesn't get a good connection on the ball.
First time you've seen Luca Marinelli properly called into action. His 11th straight start. He's got the nod for the #1 role over Andrew Hammersley over the last month or so. And according to George Jokai, he's a big part of the reason they got a result. And Spengler curls that right his way, and it's a routine save there as well.
Cosmos turning up the intensity a little bit. That's 2 shots in the past minute. Just starting to put a little bit of threat now onto the defense for Westchester.
We tick towards the half-hour mark. Westchester still with a 1-0 lead. Bobby Pierre on 7 minutes, the difference maker. The free kick coming for Dean Guzin. Well, fans, don't miss your chance to be part of the action when Westchester hosts FC Naples at 7 p.m. on Saturday, August 15th. Tickets are on sale now. Well, they go from one regional derby to another derby, and the Snowbird Derby on August 15th. That a rematch of Westchester's 1-0 defeat at Naples in late May, as the yellow card was shown to Nestor Cabrera for that challenge on Dean Guzin moments ago.
Explain to me how we get the name Snowbird Derby.
So, people from the Northeast in New York will travel down to Florida for the winters. They call those snowbirds. Here's another look at the foul.
A little touch on the ball there. I wouldn't be upset if the referee didn't blow.
Jimenez did look like a softer yellow for sure. Armas toward the back post for Jennings, who headed it down. Heard only as far as Daniel Baumann.
Davide Corte did speak about not panicking if they go a goal down and forcing the game. He wants them to stay patient in possession and continue to build rather than abandoning their identity. Of course, both of these teams are no strangers to going down in games or being in losing positions. But you do think being patient is one thing, you know, not forcing is one thing, but you do kind of have to still play with a certain intensity and urgency to get yourself back into the game. You don't want to leave it to the last 15 minutes, which is what we normally see is the high intensity in the last 15 minutes, and there's 45 minutes that goes wasted to get the equalising goal. So it's going to be interesting to see how they balance that patience, how they balance that not forcing the game, and how they go about chasing that equalising goal.
Especially without compromising their defensive solidity, because early in the year they were more of a higher pressing, protagonist-based team, and that left them exposed. So you wonder how they'll respond to going down in this one.
Yeah, and especially in what we consider a derby game. There's no sitting back, there's no pressure. It needs to be intense, it needs to be fierce, it needs to be an event where the fans leave feeling a fast-paced, intense, aggressive encounter between the two teams. So they feel like they're representing the fans, they're representing what it means to compete in this fixture, and as we spoke about, what it means to represent the New York Cosmos also.
Chavez. Here's more Beto. Another extended spell of possession for the Cosmos. Jimenez tracks that well and navigates through the trouble as effectively. Lynn is fouled after the fact. And Chris, you're starting to see the chippier challenges flying in now.
Yeah, you expect that. 30 minutes in, you know, one team is down, Cosmos are down, trying to get themselves back into the game for the attacking talent on display tonight. As we spoke about, both coaches having the same conclusion that it won't be decided by the forwards first. It's going to be decided by the players in the middle, able to control the rhythm of the game, win the second balls, dictate the tempo. This is going to be the storyline of tonight's fixture, is who's able to control that battle.
At the moment, it seems like Westchester's just been first to a lot of those second balls. Another free kick, this time Jennings. And he is going to be evaluated for a head injury, it seems.
I don't think anything malicious there. Probably just an opportunity here for Westchester also to take a little bit of the momentum out of the game, slow things down a little bit, being the team in front.
Well, fans, injury timeout is presented by Mar & Mar Attorneys at Law, fighting for every minute you deserve. Look at George Jokai on the touchline. You have to figure he's relatively happy with the opening 30 minutes, and I think that smile does tell the story.
Yeah, you're leading at home. You know, you're meeting that expectation. Home games always, while it's nice to be home, it does provide that little bit of additional pressure because you feel like you do need to entertain the fans. You do need to play a specific style to entertain the fans, and you definitely need to win. The fans definitely don't come out to see a style that loses games. So right now, being 1-0 up, he's going to feel like he's in control of the game. Still a long time left to play, but he'll be pretty comfortable with how Westchester have started this match.
He's someone who's known for his braver style of play. He's spoken about needing to toe the line between being expansive and having a garrison defensively, so to speak. But he also is someone that wants to entertain the fans. And he says that in the 2 months since these teams last met in the Prince Tires USL Cup, he feels that his side has a better understanding of their patterns of play. Also switching the formation. See Baumann with a cheeky nutmeg. Now Evans.
It's great work there from Baumann in centre part. Both Baumann, McGlynn, both of these players were identified as two selfless warriors that protect transition. they're not necessarily going to find themselves on the score sheet, but they'll dictate the ability for Westchester to control the game. And fantastic bit of skill on display there from Bowman.
Williams, his first start in Westchester colors, and he left a foot dangling at the end of that interchange. It's important to note as well, since these last two teams met, there has been a change in shape for Westchester. They've gone from a 4-back into a 5-back with more out-and-out wingbacks in Jennings and Jimenez, whose form have blossomed in the wake of that shift. And that presents a new stylistic challenge for Davide Corti's bunch in a 4-back with the numerical advantages a 3-5-back system can present.
Yeah, the formation always changes throughout the course of the game. It depends whether they're in offense. You often see the fullbacks very high and wide, and the centre-backs form a triangle with a defensive midfielder. And then when they lose possession is when the fullbacks drop in and they drop into that shape. So you often see 3 different formations that teams adapt throughout the course of the game. The formation that we see on paper is just how they line up when the kickoff starts. But the game has become so fluid, the players interchanging positions, fullbacks joining the offense and sometimes becoming a front 4 in the line. It really becomes very fluid, and you have to be able to adapt and recognize solutions very quickly.
Well, fans, the best way to spend a summer night is watching your local team with your favorite people. Check out Westchester SC's group ticket offerings, especially if you haven't experienced the new VIP area. 10 minutes to go in this first half, and for those just joining us, we welcome you to the stadium at Memorial Field. Sam Goldfarb alongside the former Guyana national team captain Chris Nurse. It's 1-0 to Westchester, courtesy of Bobby Pierre's 7th-minute opener. That the lone point of difference as things currently stand. Cosmos, though, have been more proactive since conceding. As you see Guenzati pick this up and usher it wide to Morabito. There are numbers in and around the area now for the Cosmos. This is given away cheaply, though. And here's Jimenez. This is where Westchester can hurt you. Numbers now for the Golden Apple. It's out wide to Ermin Makic, who has a crack and blazes it over.
Really tight angle to score from here. It's going to be something spectacular to beat Stefani from that kind of angle and that distance. Probably had the ability to be a little bit more patient. There was 2 players at the far post that were free if he was able to find the pass, but there's that dangerous transition that Westchester possessed that's able to threaten Cosmos' defense.
Native of Yonkers, New York, in Ermin Makic, who scored a worldie the last time these two teams met to give Westchester what then was a 2-1 lead. Of course, Westchester fans probably would not like to talk about what transpired in the final 10 minutes of that. Fell at the death, courtesy of Christian Kofi's winner. Morabito. Mendonca touched along to Guenzati. Surrounded by white kits and loses out.
Great little pass around the corner there from Lukovic.
He's done well there. Driving effort. It falls kindly, and Guenzati denied from point-blank range. Marinelli makes an instant impact, and he may have harmed himself in the process.
Guenzati will be kicking himself. He hasn't converted this one. The luck has just gone his way. It's ricocheted off him, off his shins, and he's through on goal. Just needs to pick his corner and slot it past Marinelli, and he just goes straight at him here. But fantastic opportunity to equalize. He'll be kicking himself. The score's not 1-1 right now.
Marinelli did well to come off his line and close down the angle, but now there is concern for Westchester's newly minted number 1, 22-year-old who joined on April 30th, initially on a 25-day contract, and has really impressed George Jokai with his fearlessness and his willingness to come out and be a proactive goalkeeper. As of now, he seems content to continue, as Westchester will now have an ice air corner kick to defend.
Yeah, it's a big save here from Marinelli at a key moment in the game, approaching less than 10 minutes before half-time, and probably made one of the best stops of the first half.
Cabrera stands over the ensuing corner. It's a low in-swinger, driven away at the near post. Second ball from Cabrera, and we will run it right back. We see the traveling Cosmos supporters They are vocal about backing their beloved side. Another in-swinging ball here from Cabrera, and Armas is there. It has become a real budding, intense regional rivalry. There were some spats between the two fans the last time these two sides met in mid-May. It's knocked out a play by Zelonka for a goal kick. Well, fans turn to ESPN2 on Saturday, July 25th for a high-octane USL Championship clash. Detroit City FC looks to defend home turf against unpredictable Las Vegas Lights FC at 7 p.m. Eastern. Catch all of the action on ESPN2, July 25th. Cabrera. Lukovic. Chavez taking the space, trying to break a line.
Quiet first half from Kyle Evans, you agree?
Yeah, other than the assist, which admittedly was a very good ball across the face, you haven't seen him get on it much in space.
Yeah, he has the ability to drift wide, he can create overloads in the midfield, he can arrive late in the box.
Offside flag was up there against Patrick Bowie. It was interesting talking to George Jokai about Kyle Evans because you mentioned the positional versatility, and he obviously raved about that. Began the fixture against Omaha as a proper defensive midfielder. Then they moved him out wide midway through the first half after a lightning delay. Took about 30 minutes to allow them to reset. And when he was moved out wide, assisted both goals and changed the game. He's a player that George Jokai feels will be playing at the next level sooner rather than later. And here is Evans getting on it, weaving through traffic. Evans! Just over. Well, there's him making noise. You asked for it.
Yeah, he came up big at the right moment. It's just his reaction speed and acceleration here that gets the better of the Cosmos defense. We'll get an opportunity to see a second look. He's just so quick to get to that second ball. Beats the defender, and it's on his left foot. And you expect to see the roof of the net bursting here. He probably just leans a little bit too far back. Goes good in third of the American football goals, but not necessarily in the soccer goals. But he has an ability to receive on the half turn a lot. So he's a player who can connect the defense to the midfield. He can play forward very quickly. And that's a unique skill that not all players have, that ability to receive on the half turn.
Bowie to the byline now. Flashes this inside. It's Mendonca. Spengler touched away before it can reach Guinzotti. It is another corner. And suddenly, this match being played at breakneck pace.
Yeah, just approaching half-time. Cosmos trying to push for an equalizer. For Westchester, at this phase, you really just want to slow down the tempo of the game. You don't want to concede just before half-time when you're very much in control.
Spengler clips this forward. It's a turn from Zelonka. Too many white shirts in the mix. Guinzotti rolls back to Marinelli.
You can see how vulnerable Cosmos could be here in transition. Almost every single player is in the attacking third. So in transition, there's a lot of space for Westchester to expose if they're able to play that forward pass quickly with quality.
We've already seen them have success exploiting that space on the break. Well, fans, you can watch the USL Championship in Spanish on 2DN, the nation's leading Spanish language sports network. Go to uslchampionship.com for the complete USL TV listings. Connor McGlynn currently being tended to by the physios, but seems content to continue. He, of course, is the talisman that makes everything tick for Westchester. I'm curious your thoughts on the Cosmos response since going down, because they've had a lot of the ball, but outside of that Guinzotti chance, have really struggled to puncture through this Westchester back line.
Yeah, we spoke about the Guinzotti chance, and we also spoke about the chance that came straight after they went down a goal from Zelonka. I think there has to be more from them. I don't think they've dictated the speed of play enough. I don't think they've created enough goal-scoring chances. It's hard to live up to the legacy of the name. I know the expectation is really hard, but when you hear New York Cosmos, you expect dominance. You expect exciting attacking players. You expect a level of skill and entertainment. I'm not sure this first half has really lived up to that expectation. Of course, it's hard expectations to meet, but the standard that is expected is extremely high. dominance that you expect is extremely high. But we have to be realistic. It's a very new squad put together. It's absent for a long period of time, and it's going to take them a little bit of time to get back to that level. But the brand just makes you expect that, makes you want that, and it kind of, you get a little deflated when you don't necessarily see that.
Of course, right now they're not in the finest of positions. We spotlighted off the top, 15 points south of a playoff line in the league cellar, the defense that's conceded the most in the league, and it's an underperformance of their XGA by nearly 12. Davide Corti has spoken about that and how frustrating it's been. Last few weeks better at the back, but tonight, of course, unlocked early and showing signs of vulnerability since. Kyle Evans is looking to exploit that in plenty of space. Evans cuts it across to the back post. Guzin tracks it down. Jennings arcs it in and headed over by Makic.
We've seen this pass a couple of times now from the left-hand side. He just needs one player on that right-hand side attacking the far post, and there's an easy tap in there similar to what Pierre did the first time. This time I do believe it's Evans who drives down it and tries to deliver the assist, but just goes straight across the face of goal on the ground and nobody there to tap it in at the far post.
It's 3 minutes of Mar and Mar stoppage time.
And I think that is exactly what Davide Corti spoke about in not forcing things. There you see Cosmos have good possession of the ball. It's an overhit pass out of play. There's nobody making the run. The ball's not released at the right time, and they've just given the ball back to Cosmos. And that's where that little bit of desperation going into halftime kicks in a little bit, where they're trying to create something that isn't necessarily there.
Jimenez. More numbers in support. He slips in Dean Guzin, who rounds the goalkeeper and took too wide an angle. It's just a corner.
Yeah, you just wonder Jimenez took a little bit too long to release that pass and then made the angle of the run a little bit tougher. Does well to beat the goalkeeper. Unfortunately, the ball's just running a little too far away from him. He's unable to get a shot off with his second touch. But there you see again Westchester in those transition moments, seconds before half-time, still able to exploit this New York Cosmos defense.
Another corner kick presented by Ice Air. Ice Air keeping Westchester cool and comfortable. It's Alexi Armas over it. Perhaps their final one of this first half. Of course, they did score off their first corner of the match 7 minutes in. High arcing ball to the back post. Jennings contested it, and he does win a throw. Final minute of Mar and Mar stoppage time. Armas arcs it into the mix. Headed away by Gonzatti. Spangler stood up. There's no way out just yet for the Cosmos. Chavez looking long. It's likely the Cosmos' final sojourn forward of the half. They do have options here. It's a clip ball in towards Mendonca, who heads across the face. It's away by Williams. Lukovic. Cabrera. One final cross into the penalty area and right at Marinelli. Figure that should do it for the opening 45. Guzin dispossessed. The referee continues to wave play on for now. Well, there is the halftime whistle. It was a breakneck first half, very fast pace, but Westchester grabbing the early opener and having the better of the chances after that.
Yeah, for Westchester, as we spoke about, it's a step forward for them in this first half. The question is, can they sustain this over the course of 90 minutes? It's been a decent first half for Cosmos. I think there's a lot to discuss at halftime, and there's a lot of room for improvement. I think Westchester will feel content at the end of the first half.
Strong first half for the Golden Apple as they look for their first ever victory over their regional rival. At intermission, it is a 1-0 cushion for the home side in this newest edition of the GWB Derby. We will take a quick breather here from Westchester County. When we return, a look back at how the first half unfolded and a look around the USL. Stick with us. We will return in a matter of moments.
At Redefined Meals, we're not just making prepared meals. We're redefining them and raising the bar for what they can be.
Every dish begins with real ingredients, crafted fresh each day, redefining what real cooking means for busy lives.
Discover over 70 chef-crafted meals, freshly made, thoughtfully balanced, and surprisingly affordable.
Good food shouldn't slow you down. It should keep you going. No prep, no stress.
Redefine the way you dine.
Eligible for Medicare? Here's a great new reason to be happy. You may qualify for money-saving programs that could lower your Medicare costs. Just talk to a Health First specialist about programs like Extra Help, Epic, and more. To learn how New Yorkers like you can save, call 1-844-434-6399. Health First Medicare Advantage Plans, where healthy starts.
Come on, get happy.
Raising health means elevating the care that we can get in our backyard. The Westchester Soccer Club is part of the United Soccer League that has now expanded into Westchester.
It's a brand new USL 1 team competing all across the country, bringing the love for the sport of soccer to the area.
Northwell is going to provide them the best care possible, going to the games, making sure that we're on site for each home game. If an injury pops up, we get those players in immediately.
The partnership between the Westchester Soccer Club and Northwell Health is very exciting.
Northwell's vision is to raise health. So we offer the full gamut of orthopedic services, serving the community in Westchester. That's where my family lives, that's where I live, and that's my purpose here.
Welcome back to Westchester County. We're at halftime in this rivalry tussle. Westchester holds a narrow 1-0 advantage over the New York Cosmos. Well, the World Cup just concluded across the United States, and we have a USL connection in the form of former U.S. men's national team player Carlos Llamosa. Take a look at his memories from his World Cup experience.
In the middle of the 2026 World Cup, Carlos Llamosa is focused on something else. The head coach of San Antonio FC is navigating his club through the midway point of the USL Championship season. But nearly a quarter century ago, the World Cup was Llamosa's dream come true.
Well, that was a unique experience for many reasons. First, that was the first World Cup of the century. That was the first time the World Cup happens in 2 different countries. And that was the first time that happens in Asia.
The 2002 World Cup is to date the best performance by the U.S. men's national team. A stunning victory over Portugal in the group stage. A shutout of arch rival Mexico in the round of 16, with South Korea's 13-hour time difference to U.S. Eastern Time. Americans had to be creative for live overnight matches. Bars were open at 4 in the morning making breakfast for your matches. Were you aware of all of that at the time?
We found out being there in Korea. They show us videos of footage from TV networks, having a watching party 3 in the morning, 4 in the morning. Also for me, I have Colombian news going to my parents' house in Colombia in the middle of the night to do interviews when we were playing live.
In 2026, the World Cup includes more than 40 players whose careers were touched by different levels of USL. Llamosa now has a seat to watching players chase their own World Cup dreams.
Here from our academy from San Antonio, we have a player representing the U.S. on the U17 qualifier. That's a very important league in the U.S. soccer developmental program.
arriba. Hay sed de revancha, doctor. Pero falta gol, estamos a esperar a un gol. ¿Hugo Sánchez? Sí, tira para adelante. ¿Quién maneja? ¿Un futbolista? ¡Llegamos por fin! ¡Ay, bendito sea el chofer, doctor! Hugo, ¿regreso a las canchas? ¿Algún consejo?
Sí, confía y cree en ti.
¡Ey! ¡Pasa al norte! A donde me dé la oportunidad, pero listo para dar el paso. ¡Listo, vámonos!
You ever just look at them and think, yeah, I'm doing all right.
This summer, get 1,000 bonus points and a chance to win 250,000 bonus points.
We all have goals. But let's be honest. Most of us aren't going to be professional athletes. But if your goal is to finish your degree, we can help. Come to a university that puts your goals first. Bellevue University, your partner in finishing goals.
Prinks Tires in the USL help soccer journeys everywhere to drive harder. From city playgrounds to suburban sidelines. From early mornings to late nights. From fun with friends to winner takes all. From the biggest fan to the biggest heart. And at every turn, Prinks Tires will be there for the long haul.
300. That's about how many events the Community Police Relations Foundation has done in just the last year.
Tens of thousands of positive interactions between law enforcement and the communities they serve. We exist to break down barriers, to humanize the badge, to foster trust, understanding, and lasting relationships. It's changing how communities see the uniform every single day. Together, we can redefine the story and turn 300 moments of connection into tomorrow's 3,000.
Welcome back to Mount Vernon. We're at halftime in this rivalry fixture. Westchester with a 1-0 advantage, courtesy of Bobby Pierre's early opener. And now it's time to continue our look around USL League One with a look at the scores and upcoming schedule for a busy match week here in the heartbeat of American soccer. Coming up on this weekend, 4 big fixtures to keep your eye on, all at 7 p.m. Eastern. The Cosmos hosting AC Boise. Meanwhile, a regional battle between Charlotte and Richmond, and then Madison hosting Naples. And then as you head further down the weekend slate, a number of games to keep your eye on. Westchester traveling out west to take on AV Alta. Meanwhile, Spokane hosting Fort Wayne. That should be a fun one in a battle between Lee Wiedemann and Mike Avery's squads. Well, that is your look around League One. It's now time to continue our spotlight around the league with a look at our halftime update. Dan Lucas has more information.
It is halftime in League One. We hope you're enjoying the match. I'm Dan Lucas inside the USL studio with a look at the headlines. No club had a better week last week than the Chattanooga Red Wolves, who notched a pair of victories over top 4 teams in League One. It began with a 1-0 victory over AV Alta and finished with a big 4-2 win over Charlotte Independence, ending Charlotte's run of 14 straight matches without a defeat in all competitions. Fort Wayne FC staged a beautiful tribute to the late John Bellio, one of the club's co-founders. Bellio lost his battle with cancer in 2025. To honor Bellio, Fort Wayne will make this night an annual event, with proceeds going to Cancer Services of Northeast Indiana. On the field, Fort Wayne defeated Greenville Triumph 3-0, and a late substitution featured 16-year-old Johnny I. At 16 years, 12 days old, I is the youngest player to see game action for an independent League One club. National Spotlight games in League One and the championship next Saturday. Tampa Bay Rowdies hosting Louisville City on ESPN2. August 5th, Richmond Kickers hosting New York Cosmos on CBS SN. Then on the 8th, Monterey Bay hosts New Mexico United on CBS SN. This is the USL Halftime Update. Let's get you back out to your match.
This week, on USL All Access. We are back on Sirius XM-FC, which means we recap the month that most people didn't see on YouTube. Trevor Ammon, the fastest professional hat trick in American soccer history, speaks with Devin. Plus, we break down the quarterfinal matchups for mid-August's USL Brinks Tires Cup. All that more on Sirius XM-FC, the USL YouTube page.
Imagine if your technology partner could not only anticipate your technology needs, but also provide a holistic strategy. At Atlantic, tomorrow's office, we take a 360-degree view of your office technology. Whether your organization is a local company or has multiple locations coast to coast. By understanding your organization's full scope, we can proactively manage your IT, document management, applications, data, and AI strategy, along with your print infrastructure and communication systems. Our approach means a more efficient and streamlined operational plan for you, with the added benefit of predictable budgeting. We consolidate your technology needs under one roof, eliminating the hassle of dealing with multiple vendors. Our specialized service teams ensure that no matter the scale, you receive the highest level of support. Let's talk about how our holistic approach and expert teams can empower your business.
Eligible for Medicare? Here's a great new reason to be happy. You may qualify for money-saving programs that could lower your Medicare costs. Just talk to a Health First specialist about programs like Extra Help, Epic, and more. To learn how New Yorkers like you can save, call 1-844-434-6399. Health First Medicare Advantage Plans, where healthy starts.
Come on, get happy.
At Redefined Meals, we're not just making prepared meals. We're redefining them and raising the bar for what they can be.
Every dish begins with real ingredients, crafted fresh each day, redefining what real cooking means for busy lives.
Discover over 70 chef-crafted meals, freshly made, thoughtfully balanced, and surprisingly affordable.
Good food shouldn't slow you down. It should keep you going. No prep, no stress.
Redefine the way you dine.
Welcome back to Westchester County, where at halftime, the Golden Apple hold a 1-0 advantage over their regional foes in New York Cosmos. It's time to get a look back at how that first half unfolded, and Chris, Westchester striking first and a number of chances to double it shortly thereafter.
Here we see a fantastic little bit of improvisation here. Beautiful back heel, great ball across the box. And Pierre arrives at the right moment at the right time. Evans sees him. Does he shoot? Does he score it? Either way, it doesn't matter. 1-0 Westchester.
And then as the half went on, chance after chance, they had a real opportunity to double it here through Guzin.
Great first touch here from Guzin, and just tries to finesse it into the corner. It's not far away at all. You can see by the goalkeeper's reaction. Scuffling across his goal line, sees it go wide of the upright.
2 minutes later, it's Max Jennings who doesn't get all of it here.
The assist again here comes from Evans on the left-hand side. Just doesn't connect it quite as well as he would have liked. Pretty easy.
And then as we wore on later in the half, you started to see New York Cosmos grow into it a little more.
You would say this was one of the better chances they have from Spengler. It wasn't overly concerning, but it was on frame.
And as it dragged on, this the best chance of the half easily for Guenzati and company.
Yeah, gets a little bit of luck here, Guenzati, and he really should do better. That should have been an equalising goal. He was in the right place at the right time, just didn't finish it off.
And Kyle Evans, toward the end of the half, had another big chance.
Yeah, you'd expect to see nothing more than the net busting here from Evans, but leaning back a little bit too high, wide of the frame.
Look at the halftime stats. They do favor Westchester slightly in terms of shots, but the Cosmos actually with more on frame in those opening 45 minutes.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the better first halves that Westchester have had. For the Cosmos, I think there's room for improvement, and I think they can get better in the second half. It's going to be interesting to see the adjustments and changes that are made. We know there was a quick adjustment before kickoff with Cito being changed in the lineup, but it's going to be interesting to see how they go about having more dominance in the possession they have and creating more goal-scoring chances.
Just about ready for the start of the second half. That man, Bobby Pierre, the difference maker with his 7th-minute opener. And hearing word Westchester has made a double change. It is Noah Powder who enters 14 Guzin, and Mo Williams also makes way for Tim Timchenko. So Powder perhaps deployed in a more advanced role in the second half after playing as a wing back for the better part of the last month. Back underway here from Mount Vernon. Sam Goldfarb, Chris Nurse on hand. It's interesting to see Westchester making the double swap, given they had the better of the action in the first half. But George Jokai has clearly seen a way he can get at this Cosmos side in the second half.
Yeah, and it does look like Cosmos have come out with a little bit of pep in their step in terms of speed of play, intensity, and you can kind of see it in their body language and demeanor in the opening 30 seconds of this second half. It's a little bit different than what we saw in the first half, albeit just a few moments in. But you can see there's an urgency, there's a wanting to play quickly, to move the ball a little bit quicker. There's a difference in the body language.
What do you think Davide Corti said to his group at halftime?
I think if he's honest, he tells them not good enough. He said that the organisation they were in, the performances, the expectations on the pitch, there wasn't much of a lot in that first half, whether it be good defending, whether it was tacklings or interceptions, whether it was creative passes, whether it was goal-scoring opportunities. It was all a little bit mediocre and lackluster.
Did feel like they lacked the amount of tempo required. And interestingly enough, when we spoke to Davide Corti, he mentioned Darren Seedul has that tempo setter, that tempo changer in the heart of midfield. Obviously, he has to go out before the match due to a last-minute illness situation. You just wonder if maybe they lose that dynamic of their metronome, their tempo setter, to be able to increase that pace.
Yeah, Spengler had one chance from distance, but that was fairly straightforward for the goalkeeper to say. But, you know, they talk about wanting to switch play, to attack behind, to use the wide spaces. We didn't see a lot of that in the first half, so their expectations, the things they want to accomplish, maybe Westchester did a great job at containing them, but they weren't able to hit many of their objectives in the first half. And we spoke about defensively, were not fantastic, and then the chances that they had, they were not clinical with. Guenzati had a great one, and Zelonka also had a great chance in the first half that they were not clinical with. So you can say right now in both boxes, first half, they were not good enough.
Baumann looking long down the line for Noah Powder. Does get there first. Now here's Makic. Powder, a League One veteran. Spent 2 years with Northern Colorado Hailstorm before making the move to Westchester last winter. Gets on it again here. Arcs it forward towards Makic, who jumps for it. Appealed for a penalty that our referee is not going to entertain.
It was a lovely little hanged up ball into the box there, screaming to be attacked. He sold the contact. I'm not sure whether there was contact, but
either way, the referee lets the Cosmos off the hook. Stefani building out of the back now. Spengler. Have yet to see someone who's top 10 in the league in goals, assists, and chances created put his imprint on this one.
Yeah, I think you have to give McGoon and Bowman credit for keeping him quiet tonight. That, as we spoke about the midfield being the area where the game we won and lost, he's not really had a lot of time or space, Spengler, on the ball. It's because of the way they've surrounded him every time he's got involved in it. They've managed to minimize his impact on the game.
Well, fans, Westchester Soccer Club is excited to partner with Redefined Meals, our go-to destination for fresh, healthy, prepared meals. Scan the QR code on screen for a free meal at Redefined Meals in Hartsdale. Well, just a little after the restart here in Westchester County, alongside the former Guyana national team captain, Chris Nurse, Sam Goldfarb, bringing you all of the action in this latest edition of what is being called by the fans as the GWB Derby between Westchester and the Cosmos. First meeting came in the Prince Tires USL Cup, a 3-2 come-from-behind victory for the Cosmos, and they're looking to kickstart a comeback here through Bowie, who plays in this cross, and there is no one there in green to greet it as Pierre shepherds it away.
Yeah, you wonder if he's made the right choice there. He's put it into the danger area, but there's no one there, so maybe if he glances up and realizes there's no one there, he takes another touch, he's a little bit more patient in the build-up. Or he makes the right decision, right pass, and it's on the attackers to make sure they're attacking the right spaces.
There's Bowie again, tucking in. And now Cabrera. Dipping cross, has some menace to it. Pierre gets himself in the way. McGlynn breaks the line well, and this is Noah Powder. Not the finest of square balls from the substitute, though. Bowie, that's very well weighted, and there's a real chance on now. Zelonka clips it towards Spengler, and it gives Westchester enough time to recover.
You have to say for Cosmos, there's not enough players attacking the ball. When that ball's played in behind, there's one player running straight down the middle, nobody attacking the far post. There's not enough players getting in the box to create goal-scoring opportunities. When that ball goes wide, you've got to have at least 3 players attacking the box. One player at the edge, one player making the edge of the 6-yard box, one player attacking the far post, and there was just one, and it didn't seem like anybody else had the urgency to get inside the box.
Fans, don't miss your chance to be part of the action when Westchester hosts FC Naples at 7 p.m. on Saturday, August 15th. Tickets are on sale now. It does feel like the Cosmos haven't had that necessary urgency or final ball, final touch in the penalty area just yet. Westchester themselves have found that early and have continued to press on.
We talk about being home or away from home. With the commute being what it is, it's not necessarily a journey that you're in a different altitude or you're in a different time zone or in a different state. You're pretty close to home, so the only difference is maybe the surface. I envision you have a decent amount of crowd here to support you being the away team. Maybe as a Cosmos brand, you maybe have more fans than the home team. So there's not really that I'm the away team mentality to really have for the Cosmos tonight. They've just not been at the races as yet.
This is a well-weighted challenge. And now numbers here for Westchester. Jimenez, he's upended. The referee has given a free kick just outside the penalty area. Zelonka is the penalized party. This is a real chance for Westchester to do further damage. Alexi Armas over it. Floats it into the mix, headed away. Gets there first though. Bauman. Fighting ball forward, and Jennings ran right over Nestor Cabrera there. The latter of whom is down in some serious pain, it seems.
I think Cabrera gets away with it here. I think he makes a bad decision and ends up hurting himself. I'm not sure there was too much wrong on the offensive side here. I think the referee did him a big favor there.
There's Chavez. Spengler. This is where he can make an impact, but he can't slip in Guenzati there.
Just so they've been able to find that ball behind the line. One thing that Cosmos were specifically focusing on in preparation for tonight's matchup was diagonal runs in behind Pierre and Jennings. We've seen it a couple times, but the ball just hasn't been delivered with the right weight at the right moment.
He spoke a lot about those diagonal balls as a way to get at Westchester. It's a back line that, by George Jokai's own admission, isn't necessarily the most athletic. It is one that you can get at if you can find them in a stretch position. But so far tonight, Westchester's defense, after giving the ball away, has been particularly sound. They've won it back upfield again here. McGlynn. Clever layoff to Powder. Powder has a pop! Forces a strong save out of Stefani.
It's a great strike from Powder. Forces, as you mentioned, forced a great save, but there's nobody following in the rebound. I was just about to start talking about McGlynn, and Evans is obviously the player that attracts the attention because of his attacking quality, but McGlynn quietly has been able to influence the game tonight. In the midfield, he's been able to win battles. He's playing key passes. They've kept Spangler pretty quiet in terms of his involvement in the game, which has allowed Evans to operate in more advanced areas.
Now Makic. Looking for Powder once more. Jennings on the overlap. It's a cross that's overhit for everyone in white, though. Lukovic. The Cosmos have an opportunity to break. Lukovic has found Bowie well here. And Bowie squaring up with his defender. Bowie lays it off well and just lifted over. Big chance goes begging there for Zelonka and company.
It's not a bad attempt here. What he does is he tries to open up his hips and side foot it towards the upper 90. Yeah, you just see him open up his hips and try to side foot it towards the upper 90, but it just keeps rising. It's not a bad idea here whatsoever. This was the save earlier from Powder's shot.
Powder. It's become an end-to-end affair. It's starting to blossom into a track meet. Lukovic.
I think one thing that stands out a little bit in this game is that the front players for Westchester seem to be a little bit more fluid and interchangeable, whereas Cosmos seem to have more of a rigid structure and things tend to revolve a little bit more around Spengler. It's two kind of contrasting systems.
George Jokai does pride himself on his squad's tactical flexibility and the multi-positional fluidity of his attackers. You're starting to see that on display here tonight. This is Holt for Cosmos. Bowie. Mendonca. Knocked along by Bowie. Now Cabrera. Not enough weight on that ball in. Well, fans, the best way to spend a summer night is watching your local team with your favorite people. Check out Westchester SC's group ticket offerings, especially if you haven't experienced the new VIP area. Well, just shy of the hour mark, and for those joining us from the stadium at Memorial Field, we say hello and welcome. Alongside the former Guyana national team captain Chris Nurse, I'm Sam Goldfarb. It's Westchester that leads by a narrow 1-0 margin in this derby fixture. Bobby Pierre on 7 minutes. Making the difference. Westchester has had the better of the action since. Starting to see the Cosmos open things up and chase it themselves, though, as Lukovic carries this forward and continues to stroll on. Guenzati, Bowie with a pop, and he rockets it off the crossbar. Cabrera's follow-up, and out of danger for now.
It's great work here from Lukovic. He just drives straight through the heart of the Cosmos midfield. Lays a great ball off to Bowie, and Bowie smashes this with too much power for my liking. The time and space he has, he just needs to pick his corner and pass it into the back of the net rather than going for power. I think if he has more finesse, a little bit more of a finish rather than shooting or smashing it, I think they get themselves a fairly comfortable goal. But just the way he goes about finishing, the ball ricochets off the off the upright, and back into play. A fantastic drive, though, from Lukovic in the first place.
Makic lost his footing there. Starting to see why Davide Corti was so enthralled by Lukovic's skill set. Bowie has had plenty of avenues to roam now. Best of balls to Spengler, though.
And you're now seeing Spengler get a little bit more time in the middle of the park to get the ball at his feet, pick his head up and play passes. He's now having a little bit more success in dictating the tempo of play in the middle of the park.
Well, fans, Select is proud to be the official match ball supplier of the USL Championship. From the grassroots to the pros, Select is there every step of the way. Visit us.select-sport.com for the latest Select product specials and more. Select, the player's choice.
I think he's fortunate he doesn't connect with anybody here. For me, it's a red card. He's on the floor first and foremost. Then he swings out a leg, and luckily it's missed time and doesn't connect with anybody, but could have easily seen himself having an early shower had it been connecting with somebody's leg.
That would have been the last thing the Cosmos needed at this point. Drive it wide, Morabito. Just looking for an avenue to cross. Instead forced backward. Mendonca. Away by Baumann. It is a Cosmos side that has only led in 4 of their previous 15 league matches all season. It is also not one that's known for rescuing points from losing positions. Now, the fortunate trend that is in their favor, as this Westchester side, throughout their history, has struggled to protect leads, including Saturday night when they went 2-1 up at Omaha. There's another ball in. Does connect with Spengler, who couldn't redirect it on frame. Falls now for Cabrera, who overhit it. No real trouble for Marinelli.
And you do feel the momentum and the pendulum swinging a little bit in favor of the Cosmos right now. They're starting to have a little bit more possession, creating a little bit more chances than they were early in the game.
So many managers talk about how important it is to have that killer instinct when you go 1-0 up. And Westchester has struggled with that throughout its existence. Of course, last season, a very different roster to this one. Dropped a league record 38 points from winning positions. This year, don't look now, but they're joint second in the league for most points dropped from winning positions with 9. So it is a concerning point of emphasis. And of course, this number doesn't count for that points from winning positions tally in league play, but they also dropped 3 points from winning positions the last time these two teams met. Led 2-1 entering the final 10 minutes and lost. You just wonder if that's at the back of some of these Westchester players' minds as they enter the key juncture of this one. Miguel Diaz is getting set to enter now.
Next goal is absolutely massive. If Westchester finds a second, they'll be in complete control of the game. If Cosmos manage to grab an equalizer, this match changes equally, not just from a tactical standpoint or a scoreline standpoint, it changes emotionally.
As a player, when you've been through dropping that many points from winning positions, I don't know if you've ever experienced that, but does it weigh on you in scenarios like this?
Yeah, definitely, and especially from a collective mentality. This is where the experience and leadership in the group really matters, because players who have been in that situation know how to overcome it. If the whole group has a mentality of here we go again, it becomes a real negative weight that carries the team down.
Double change now, or excuse me, a change apiece. It is Diaz on for Erman Makic up front. In addition to that, the Cosmos bring in Tino Puentes in a leg-for-leg swap with Massimo Morabito. Miguel Diaz is someone who has set the world alight when he's been able to feature for Westchester. Trio of goals to his name in 11 previous league appearances. Did catch fire with goals in 3 straight matches from June 14th to June 24th. Someone that was kind of under the radar in the greater New York, Westchester area, but George Jokai's known about him for a while and says he is no surprise in terms of his talent translating.
In these opening 15 minutes, Spengler's definitely become more active. He's been able to find pockets and to influence the game a lot more than he was in the first half.
Stefani in some trouble here. Just gets it out of his feet before Diaz can reach it.
I think some of the success that Westchester were maybe having or preventing Cosmos from creating so many goal-scoring chances in the first half was Bowman and McGlynn doing an outstanding job protecting the back foot. And that's what their coach described them as, being selfless warriors and doing the work that doesn't necessarily grip the headlines, but it's so important for the success of the team.
Spengler finds Bowie. The flag stays down. Bowie cutting inside on his right. Mendonca going for goal and well off the mark.
It's good, patient defending there, forces Bowie backwards, and then obviously a shot from Mendonca from 25 yards out wasn't going to be overly concerning. Good defending there.
Well, fan soccer season is here, and SeatGeek is the official ticketing partner of the USL. Get all your USL tickets and more from the #1 ticketing site, SeatGeek, your ticket to great seats. Can't fault Mendonca for having a crack, though, because the last time these two teams met, he did score the equalizer in the 81st minute on this ground. Now, granted, it was from much closer range than that. He's a player, though, that has quietly carved out a regular role in the 11 for Davide Corti's bunch, joining from Chattanooga FC and MLS Next Pro and making that second holding midfield position his own.
This is the phase of the game where management becomes critical. You know, Cosmos don't want to lose their identity. They don't want to force things, but they're chasing the game. And this is where the temptation now arises to force things. It's a temptation to throw bodies forward, to be wide open, to go in search of that equalizing goal with just 25 minutes left of regulation time. Things do start to get a little desperate now, where all of those things start to creep in.
Bauman was dispossessed as well. And Bowie again with an opportunity to drive forward. Just doesn't have the support required. See Westchester getting back far quicker than the Cosmos can send numbers forward right now. When you talk to managers in this league, so often they say matches in USL League One are predicated on transitions. And tonight, it has truly felt like that. Westchester's transition defending has been up to snuff, and it's a big part of the reason why the Cosmos haven't found an equalizer yet.
Yeah, and I think they just have to be careful because Spengler's influence on the game is really starting to uptick in comparison to what we saw in the first half. And this is when he can be most dangerous. Just when you think he's quiet, he's not impacting the game, that's when he can pop up being threatening.
Here's another transition brewing, this time for Westchester, and Jimenez wins a corner.
He was just trying to be patient here, Jimenez, seeing if he could get support at a good angle for the layoff. It wasn't there, so more aggressive, tried to take on the defender, get the shot off himself, but ended up being a great block there in the end.
It's another corner kick. All corner kicks are brought to you by Ice Air, keeping Westchester cool and comfortable. Noah Powder will do the honors on this occasion.
Block was from Holt.
It's an in-swinger to the near post. That was flicked along. Fell for Diaz. Loses out Tajmir Spengler. There's a chance now to break. And here's Spengler in the heart of midfield. And it is a surefire yellow card that will be brandished by our referee. No arguments from Tim Tinchenko.
Yeah, with no doubt, no question of a doubt, that's a yellow card. Tinchenko pulls him back. It's a tactical foul. He knows his team are under it. They're down numbers. Smart, but now he's treading on eggshells for the remainder of the game. But it started from the break out the edge of the box where Diaz really should have done better with a shot. He just completely whiffs it, scuffs it, and then it turns into a counter-attack for the Cosmos in what should have been either a shot on target or, if it goes wide, a goal kick.
It's just another example of how Tajmir Spengler's influence is growing, his impact slowly materializing.
We're at the phase of the game where tactics maybe become a little bit less important. Now it becomes about fresh legs coming into the game and being able to maintain the intensity.
George Jokai spoke about how he wants his substitutes to be his game changers and to provide a lift. And it feels like on the road sometimes that hasn't been the case. At home they'll be hoping that it's a different story. Lukovic sending Bowie in behind. Bobby Pierre defended that very admirably.
Right now, I think the momentum is still 50-50. This could still go either way. Westchester do look very dangerous on the counter-attack, and Cosmos are starting to create opportunities through their sustained possession.
Well, if you can't watch the match, you can turn on Sirius XM FC 157, North America's only 24/7 source for engaging soccer talk, including USL All Access Tuesday nights, plus your live matches from the USL MLS Premier League and more, all on Sirius XM FC 157 and the Sirius XM app.
I actually feel like Cosmos' focus this week, which was very much on rest defense, is maybe taken away from their offense a little bit. Having more players back naturally gives you less players going forward, and maybe that could be where some of their offensive issues have come tonight. That they've had a little bit more of a defensive mindset, and it's influenced their ability to go forward and create.
And to your point, whenever they've gotten numbers forward on the break, it feels like not enough have joined the attack on the counter to be able to truly puncture this Westchester defense.
Yeah, as we saw, there was balls that have gone in behind the back line, and there's one player making a run into the box against 3 or 4 defenders, when at that moment you want everybody to be excited, making those lung-bursting runs into the box, arriving in, controlling the right areas of the 18-yard box to score. One player, yeah, it could get the job done, but not necessarily is going to be enough, and there hasn't been that level of commitment going forward. There definitely has been a stronger commitment to trying to defend better, but still a number of chances for Westchester, despite a more balanced rest defense and a more commitment to being better defensively for Cosmos tonight.
There, Jennings had it taken off his toes. And Noah Powder gets back in retreat.
The final 20 minutes, it's normally decided by 3 things, I'd say. Substitutions, a set piece, or a mistake. One lapse in concentration can undo all the good work that's been done up to this phase. almost on point there.
You almost foretold the future. It was well done by Marinelli in the end.
Yeah, this is where fatigue, not just physically, but mentally really kicks in and can have a big impact on the final outcome of the game.
I feel like every time a goalkeeper comes that far out of goal, everybody is collectively just holding their breath.
I think we have to keep giving credit to Westchester. They've done a great job at limiting Spengler's ability to receive in between the lines. And if Cosmos are going to get back into this, they need a way to find Spengler in those positions to make those killer passes.
That was a magnificent ball to Noah Powder, who cuts inside on his left. Back for Connor McGlynn. Not enough on it. Rolled to Stefani.
McGlynn in the right place at the right time. Just a lack of conviction in that strike. It's almost like he was passing it back to his own goalkeeper rather than trying to finish on goal. And even if he was trying to go with less power, it was straight down the middle where he's not going to beat the goalkeeper. If he's going to place it, it needs to be more towards the side net and toward the corners and force the goalkeeper to actually move across his line and make a save.
Zelonka turning through traffic. Guenzati just tugged away from it.
Great work from Zelonka there, and he finds Guenzati. Guenzati's just trying to control it.
Now Puentes into the mix, across the face. Zelonka can't find a teammate though. Starting to see the Cosmos really twist the screws though.
Zelonka maybe guilty of being a little bit too unselfish inside the 18-yard box. He had a couple of chances that he's always looked to pass. Maybe that one he's just, instead of trying to knock it back across the face of goal, maybe he tries to force it on goal and force the goalkeeper to make a save.
Diaz is fouled. Fans, the USL Championship and League One are on CBS Sports and ESPN platforms all season long. Catch live matches and expert analysis every day on the CBS Sports Golazo Network and ESPN Plus. Go to USLChampionship.com or USLLeague1.com for the complete USL TV listings. Another change may be taking place momentarily. For now, though, is just a brief break on the pitch.
Going into the last 20, you're wondering if Westchester can find a second goal without opening themselves up. And at what point do the Cosmos start to take more risks?
Well, here's one risk. Davide Galezzini, who is definitely a more forward-thinking presence, is warming up on the touchline as we speak. Listed fullback that often is deployed as a true out-and-out winger. Back from a brief injury absence and appears to be replacing Nick Zelonka. So, like-for-like change. And Davide Galezzini is someone who can provide considerable punch on the right-hand side.
Fresh legs. You're starting to wonder at this point who has more energy left in the tank physically. The game could be decided by discipline rather than quality, and the next substitution could change the rhythm of the game.
Well, they're adding another player into the mix, in Lamine Jauna, who is definitely a direct winger that likes to run in behind. So you get the sense that he is the next introduction, and that is a risk because he's coming off of a minor muscle injury that actually left him out for Saturday's fixture. Davide Corti wasn't sure he wanted to risk him tonight, but he will do so as he comes in for Patrick Bowie, and it's a change on both flanks here for the Cosmos.
Yeah, looking for fresh legs and energy going into these final 20 minutes and getting a push to get the equalizer. These are really hard games to analyze because there's not too much happening around the ball, but underneath the surface, it's a fascinating tactical battle. Westchester found a way to stay tight and compact. They protected the middle. They've denied Spengler time and space and the ability to dictate play. The question is, can they continue controlling those areas for another 20 minutes? Because if Cosmos can find a way to unlock that space, the game could change very quickly.
So Jauna and Zelonka, or excuse me, Jauna and Galezzini in for Zelonka and Bowie. Jauna is someone with experience in both League One and the Championship. Spent last year with Texoma and was a bit of a streaky presence on the wings. Has yet to open his account for the Cosmos since joining on May 14th. As the visitors cede a throw here. We've hit the final 15 minutes now, and it still hangs in the balance. Perhaps a long throw on the cards now for the hosts.
With all the changes that we've seen from both teams, this almost becomes a different match for the final 15 minutes. Westchester now have to rebuild their defensive relationships quickly to have that compactness, and Cosmos need their substitutions to bring urgency without turning the game into complete chaos.
Armas put it into the court of uncertainty, and it's Jimenez who runs it down. Jimenez slips in a teammate well, and it's driven home by Evans. Scintillating interplay, and Westchester has insurance.
We spoke about Evans' influence on the game, and he comes up big in key moments. If you look at the biggest chances for Westchester tonight, he's had involvement in all of them. And in this moment, he provides the pivotal moment that gives them a little bit of breathing space going into these last 20 minutes, albeit the changes that happened probably had an impact on that defensive compactness and chemistry. But we spoke about his quickness, his ability to close down space quickly, get onto things and make things happen. And another great example here. Fantastic turn, fantastic finish. Tight spaces, being able to operate in tight spaces, and the timing of the run, diagonal running behind the defense, just opens up his body and side foots it past the goalkeeper into the side netting. It's fantastic work there from Evans.
It is a beautiful team goal from Westchester. It is a second league goal of the season for Kyle Evans, and it's back-to-back multi-goal contribution outings for the 20-year-old who joined after a 3-year college career at Marist College came to a conclusion. Someone that George Jokai, as we've spoken about, has raved about throughout the season, says he has stardust sprinkled all over him, and you've seen that stardust make an impact in back-to-back fixtures for the Golden Apple this week.
Yeah, the key for Westchester was not becoming too passive. That was going to be their biggest danger if they became too passive and they dropped and became deeper and started inviting the pressure. They challenged themselves to keep going forward, to protect their lead without abandoning everything that got them to that stage. They found an outlet, and Evans was able to come up big in the moment with quality in front of goal.
You mentioned how big that second goal would be. If it went the Cosmos way, it could change the complexion of everything. Now it really seems like Westchester's home free.
Yeah, now Cosmos do need to abandon maybe a few things that they've been working on. They need to be a little bit more direct. They obviously need 2 goals to get back into this game. Urgency now is important. We spoke about urgency in the first half, and now we're going into the last 15 minutes. Now the urgency starts to reflect itself. They got to try and move Westchester's block. They got to its point of attack. They got to try and play forward when the gaps appear. Not much time left to do that.
Well, Pierre winning this free kick here.
Wasn't a great deal in it. Spengler applying a little bit pressure from behind. I think the referee's decision was made up from the tackle that came in front.
Now here's Evans again, starting to play with the wind in his sails. And even after his assist early on, you challenged him to grab the match by the scruff of the neck. It seems he's done that, and now he has a goal as a reward for his efforts.
Yeah, and you look at the time when the goal came, it was just after double substitution from Cosmos. Of course, substitutions are to bring energy, tried to get him enough, but it does give you a little bit of defensive instability in those moments. And Westchester were able to take advantage of that moment in the game.
Jimenez is still down now for the Golden Apple. He supplied Evans' tally moments ago.
Fresh changes obviously can sometimes disrupt the rhythm of the game. While fresh legs are useful, they can bring moments of disconnection between the players. And that was what I think happened when Cosmos conceded this second goal. They were unable to establish those relationships quick enough to be defensively compact and organized, and unfortunately they were punished in that moment.
You've spoken about how perhaps the extensive emphasis on defensive solidity has hampered their attack. Do you think there's an element of lethargic play as well, given they played on Saturday and given the delayed nature of that fixture?
I think it's important not to be extreme in either direction. I think everybody was tuned into the World Cup, and you saw what an over-defensive mindset does to the team and potentially can do to the results. So if Cosmos maybe took players away from their offense today and had a maybe more defense-focused performance, they conceded 2 goals and scored none. So defensively, it didn't work tonight. So maybe remaining on the front foot and offensively is their strongest form of defense. Only they will know that. But Westchester have been very good tonight. As we spoke about, defensively they defended well. In terms of creating and taking chances, they've been a lot better than previous nights of that also. Despite where the two currently sit in the standings, Westchester have been the more efficient team. Maybe the performance is now becoming reflected in the results.
I mean, the XG certainly favors Westchester, and XG is not the end-all be-all, but 1.22 to 0.62, firmly in the host's favor. And if the Cosmos want to salvage anything, they'll need to kickstart a comeback now. They would need 2 goals in the final 10 minutes again. Cabrera loses out here.
Yeah, and Westchester having a two-goal lead. Now they've got to try and manage moments, slow down restarts, win their duels, not get too carried away, clear the ball away from their goal. Cosmos need to try and make every possession feel increasingly comfortable for them and try and get themselves goal scoring opportunities for the remaining 10 minutes of regulation.
By the way, was that over defensive mindset comment a reference to the English national team?
No comment.
Fair enough.
I think the substitutions obviously added legs for both of these teams, but I think Westchester were able to show greater clarity in continuity in how they were playing the game, and that allowed them to control more of the ball and to create chances in these closing stages of the game.
Here's Evans, the most recent goal scorer. Knocks it wide to Noah Powder, one of those substitutes who has certainly had an impact. If this result holds, it would go a long way for Westchester. They would cut the gap between themselves and the top 8 to single-digit points, which seems like a modest victory, but a victory nonetheless.
Yeah, and on top of that, it will change the mentality and mindset. It will bring positivity for everybody. As the head coach spoke about, they thought that they were performing well.
Jennings across the face, and it's a 3rd for Westchester. Connor McGlynn, a 9th on the season, and Westchester's wrapped it up now.
And this goal just comes about from resilience and mentality. McGlynn, I think he deserves it for the performance he had. We also always say he's an unsung hero, but he's got his plaudits tonight. You see here, chases it down, shoulder to shoulder, wins that battle, takes his time, picks out his pass. And again, this is composure. He doesn't smash it. He finds the corner and passes into the back of the net. That's called winning your 1v1 battles. Fantastic work here from Jennings. Picks out McGlynn. McGlynn just guides it into the bottom corner. I think it's well deserved for Westchester. This is a thumping against Cosmos tonight. And as we spoke about, the brand, the organization, what they represent, they didn't meet the standards tonight.
Derby Day demolition for Westchester as they avenge an earlier defeat against the Cosmos, and their captain, Connor McGlynn, moves joint top of the Golden Boot race in USL League One with a 9th tally on the season. A well-worked goal to eradicate any semblance of doubt now.
Yeah, I think this game set and match, I think, is way too much for Cosmos to get back into this. I think this is a momentum shift now for Westchester. You know, before, yes, where their performance is good, but they weren't getting the results. Well, I think now the shift, he can reinforce the performances are good, and now they're starting to get the rewards or the fruits of that labor.
They're hunting further carnage as well. Diaz, too many green shirts nearby.
We were talking earlier, Jock, I couldn't speak highly enough of Evans. Calling him a monster, praise his versatility, decision-making. He took his team by the scruff of the neck and carried them forward tonight. Then McGlynn steps up in a similar fashion, a player who goes under the radar for the work and the impact that he has on the team, steps up. A few of the players really stepped up tonight in a moment when they needed to.
Spengler hunting some form of consolation. Now plays in another cross to the back post.
I think if you were to have one team focus now for Westchester, is can you keep the clean sheet? You've shown you can score multiple goals. Now as a team objective, they should really focus on keeping the clean sheet. This is maybe when you do park the bus and you lock it down and you try to nullify goal scoring opportunities.
Linzati nearly had a chance. Pierre, though, got in the way, and Marinelli can pounce on it. It is a Westchester side that has kept just 2 league clean sheets all season. That's joint last And that was relatively unnecessary from Jordan Chavez.
Yeah, it's a silly free kick to give away. This hasn't been a flashy performance, but it's been a mature one from Westchester. They've defended with discipline, which is not on display here from Chavez. They've controlled the midfield for long stretches of the game, and they've taken their opportunities when they arrived. They've been very clinical in front of goal tonight. This is just poor defending from Chavez. Your team is already 3 goals down. You're giving away needless free kicks just to allow more time to tick off the clock. This is the difference in maturity and understanding what's required at this time. How are you going to galvanize the rest of the players around you by giving away cheap free kicks in that moment? You're almost saying that you're almost throwing the game away with those kinds of decision making. That's not good defense.
And you afford Westchester time or opportunity to burn more time off the clock. There's another needless free kick. This time Nestor Cabrera, who, mind you, is already on a yellow card. Seems to escape any further punishment here. Westchester preparing 2 changes. We're hearing McGlynn will exit for Aiden Bora. Daniel Burko is also warming up.
I think both coaches were right at the end of the day. They both said whoever controlled the midfield and central areas would have control over the game, and that's definitely been Westchester tonight. They limited Spengler's influence. Evans had the freedom, was able to create and have an impact in the game.
So there's the double change. Aiden Bora, the 24-year-old, who joined on his first pro contract in January after playing with RKC Third Coast in USL League 2 this past summer. Meanwhile, Daniel Burko, who made a name for himself at Hofstra this past fall, replaces Jonathan Jimenez, 2 players in Jimenez and McGlynn that made massive impacts tonight.
Yeah, I think Cosmos came in tonight off the back of 2 consecutive clean sheets, but they were never really able to establish their rhythm that their coach spoke about. They defended reasonably well for periods, but they couldn't consistently create quality of chances to get themselves back into the match.
Jennings. Forward ball for Baumann, who plays the cutback towards Bora. It was a similar network of passes that led to McGlynn's goal. Not the same result there. Also hearing that the Cosmos are preparing to replace Frankie Lukovic. Here's Burko's first touch. These will be ultimate bragging rights for Westchester. The heartbreaking manner in which they lost a little over 2 months ago on this very ground against the Cosmos. They did not leave this one up to chance. Took the early lead and then battered them when it mattered most in the dying embers. Galazzini, Guenzati. And they'll come back to that earlier challenge on Galazzini. (914th Infantry enjoying all of the action they're seeing, and this time their noisy neighbors won't depart making much noise. It will be the 914th Infantry that can boast the bragging rights in this first league fixture, as Justin Milovanov will replace Lukovic in a like-for-like midfield swap. And now it's just a question of whether or not they keep the Cosmos scoreless. It's a high ball in. Marinelli gets a fingertip to it and does enough to get it out of trouble. Burko. A few footsteps behind it.
For Westchester now it's about professionalism. Can they keep the tight? Can they keep the distances compact? Make Cosmos earn every yard that they're going to get against you, and don't give them any belief and avoid any unnecessary mistakes.
If they do get this result, it would move them on to 18 points. It would also make it 4 points from the first 2 matches in this 3-match week. They're looking to wrap it up in style, it seems. Burko. One more corner before the night is done.
This feels like the performance that Jock, I believe, was coming. He told us the team was better than the record suggested, and this second half has definitely been a display of that. Tonight has certainly looked like a step in the right direction.
He's backed up his argument here. did say that he feels if they stay healthy, by the end of the season, they can shock a lot of people and put themselves in the playoff conversation. Now, this is just one step towards that, but it is a pretty big statement that they've made in this rivalry fixture.
Yeah, sometimes football rewards the team that dominates possession. Other times it rewards the team that's able to stay organized and win their duels and take the moments. Tonight, Westchester are able to do all three. And that's why we're in the final stages of the second half, and they're going to look like they're getting a thoroughly deserved 3 points.
Well, it is now time for our injury time presented by Mar & Mar Attorneys at Law, fighting for every minute you deserve. 4 minutes separate Westchester from their first league victory in a little over a month. It would be a 5th league victory of the season, all of which have come on home soil. On the other end of things, we spoke about the problematic away form of Westchester. The Cosmos would drop to 0-8, not a single point in league play away from home. Now, they did beat Westchester in the Prince Tires USL Cup here. They have achieved points away from home, but not in USL League One action.
I think McGlynn's goal was a perfect way to cap his performance tonight. He was outstanding all evening, and he won't always make the highlights, but today he controlled the midfield and protected the back four, and he was rewarded with a goal.
In many ways, a quintessential McGlynn performance. Now Diaz was looking for Burko. Stefani is first to it.
McGlynn did the dirty work all night and is able to leave off the field substituted with a goal. Fantastic performance from McGlynn.
What do you think separates him from the average midfielder in the USL League One ranks?
Being able to dominate his opponents. Jokai told us yesterday that the team that won the midfield would win the match, and McGlynn definitely won that midfield battle tonight. He gave Westchester complete control in the central areas, and everything was able to flow from there.
Here's the free kick in. It's right at Marinelli, and it all seems relatively academic at this point.
I think there were some things that led them to the success tonight. They've been defensively disciplined. They didn't allow Cosmos to establish any rhythm. The midfield were able to dictate the tempo, win second balls, and limit Spengler. And in front of goal, they were clinical. 3 goals. Didn't need endless chances. When the opportunities came, they were able to take them.
Midway through the added 4 minutes now. They lacked that clinical touch after Pierre's opener in the first half. They found the shooting boots when it mattered, and they put the game on ice by around 83 minutes.
Yeah, we thought that Kyle was having a quiet game. Evans before he was having a quiet game, and Jokai described him as a player that he could put anywhere on the field. And tonight he showed exactly that. Intelligent movement, tremendous work rate. He gets on the score sheet. I think he justified his coach's praise from earlier in the week.
It's now back-to-back matches with multiple goal involvements. 2 assists on Saturday, a goal and an assist to his name tonight.
You could say the scores line may look a little bit harsh on the Cosmos, considering how even the match was for probably around 60 minutes. But once Westchester scored that second goal, naturally spaces opened up and there was a ruthless taking of advantage from there on.
You have to wonder when Davide Corti reevaluates this if he feels they should have thrown caution to the wind a touch sooner. Haven't really troubled Marinelli's goal since the midway point of the first half on that Guinzati chance.
Yeah, Jokai believed the team was better than the record suggested, and tonight it looked like almost a complete performance they've been waiting for. The team was organised without the ball, they were composing possession and clinical in both boxes, keeping a clean sheet and 4 on the score. It's a pretty good performance. I think you'll be happy with that.
It definitely sets them up well for a trip to AV Alta at the weekend. That's always a traveling journey across the country in Lancaster in a hostile environment. That will be a massive litmus test to see if this result can spur them forward.
I think you're looking at some impressive moments. Marinelli's save against Guinzati towards the end of the first half becomes hugely important in terms of maintaining that momentum. And Westchester's clean sheet tonight could almost feel like 3 points. The substitutions that came in were able to maintain the intensity rather than rushing it. And the performance has put a significant step forward in the right direction.
Giona has it taken off his toes, and it's all at the referee's discretion now. And the referee has blown the final whistle. It is a Derby Day demolition for Westchester. They dominate New York Cosmos and secure a massive 3 points in 3-0 fashion.
Yeah, this score will read 3-0, but this victory was built long before the goals arrived. It was built on midfield discipline, defensive organisation and commitment to the game plan. The goals from Evans McGlynn simply put the finishing touches on what's been Westchester's most complete performance so far this season.
It is one of their stronger performances of the year, and it does pull them within 10 points of the playoff cut line. It finishes with Westchester as 3-0 victors. Pierre Evans and McGlynn making the difference as they win the first league edition of the GWB Derby. We'll step aside when we return to look back at the 90 minutes.
Raising health means elevating the care that we can get in our backyard. The Westchester Soccer Club is part of the United Soccer League that has now expanded into Westchester.
It's a brand new USL 1 team competing all across the country, bringing the love for the sport of soccer to the area.
Northwell is going to provide them the best care possible, going to the games, making sure that we're on site for each home game. If an injury pops up, we get those players in immediately.
The partnership between the Westchester Soccer Club and Northwell Health is very exciting.
Northwell's vision is to raise health. So we offer the full gamut of orthopedic services, serving the community in Westchester. That's where my family lives, that's where I live, and that's my purpose here.
Back here in Mount Vernon, where Westchester celebrates one of their best performances of the year. 3-0 victors over their regional foes in the New York Cosmos. From wire to wire, they control this one. And now it's time to get a look at our full-time highlights. And Chris, Westchester struck early and then put it on ice late.
Yeah, Westchester probably with the most complete performance of the season. And it started really early. Some great work here. Back heel from Bowman. Comes across the box from Evans, and Pierre at the far post makes no mistake, giving them an early 1-0 lead.
It's a well-worked team goal, and Evans plays it into the mix. Pierre the beneficiary. Later on in the first half, there were chances both ways, but then finally Westchester able to double the lead and add insurance here.
Yeah, able to give them a little bit of breathing space, and it comes from Evans, just timing of the run, diagonal run. It's a great pass here also, but just opens his body, side foots into the side lane, doesn't smash it. Composure, balance, finesse, a little bit of everything here. 2-0 lead.
Second league goal of the year for Kyle Evans, and then 7 minutes later they would wrap it up through Connor McGlynn.
McGlynn, we speak about him as an unsung hero. Great work here from Jennings. Wins his 50-50 individual battle, and he just slides it into the bottom corner. Doesn't smash it, just places it. Composure. 3-0 game, set and match. Good night, New York Cosmos.
Strong performance from Westchester, in which they flashed clinical finishing when they needed to in the closing stages of it. And you look at the full-time stats, they do tell the full story. Westchester, the better of the shots on goal. Yes, they had less possession, but they did have more possession of note.
Yeah, the moments that matters are all in favor of Westchester. The scoreline, 3-0. They created more shots. They had more shots on target. They didn't need to dominate possession to dominate the game. New York Cosmos were not able to be efficient with the possession they had.
It was, all in all, a comprehensive performance from Westchester as they secure a 5th league victory of the year, and they move up the league table, now sat 12th in the USL League One standings and controlling this one from the get-go. Well, we thank you for joining us from Westchester County. The Golden Apple win this rivalry fixture in composed fashion. 3 goals courtesy of Pierre Evans and McGlynn make the difference as they defeat their regional rivals for the first time ever. For our terrific crew and my broadcast partner, Chris Nurse, I'm Sam Goldfarb saying so long from Westchester, where the Golden Apple win by a 3-0 scoreline, now on 18 points in the league table. We will say goodbye for now. Join us next time. Have a great rest of your night, everyone.
This copyrighted telecast of the United Soccer League cannot be retransmitted, rebroadcast, or reproduced without the express written consent of the United Soccer League.